All right, everybody, how you doing? Welcome back to the second episode of Big Cellys podcast, presented by Engine Hockey. Today we got some stuff on the schedule. Um, I'm here with Tank and Jersey Matt as always, so we'll jump right into it. Tank, how you doing, buddy?
Dude, honestly, not much has changed. It's good to see you guys because I haven't seen you guys since the last time I saw you. So, you know, I love seeing your guys' faces. But no, dude, we're just kicking it. Been working, hanging out at the firehouse, and just doing whatever Tank does in his daily life. So, not much has changed. Just living life, dude. Weather's getting warmer. I'm getting happier.
Yeah, we all feel that right now. Matt, how you doing, buddy? What's new?
Good, man. We just had a really good weekend up in New York. You and me. Definitely want to get into that. Big weekend for the playoffs starting this last weekend. A lot of good games. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah. What about you, bud?
not much, man. Just still riding high on that New York trip. It was a good time. My first time up there. I enjoyed it a lot. Got to see some cool stuff, meet some cool people. It was a good time all around for sure. Uh, yeah, FD came out on top for the eighth year. PD took a hard loss, but I think Matt, you can agree. They that first half of the second period, they were playing. They were moving. It looked really good, and then they had a couple bad goals come on and them, and after that, it just kind of went downhill. But overall, it was a really solid, hard fought game, and it was good to watch for sure. What did you think?
Yeah, I kind of have most of the same perspective as you do. I thought the first period was incredible. It was very back and forth in terms of the possession. It was very evenly matched. FD might have had a little bit of an advantage shots wise in the first, but PD really came out strong. They were clearly trying to send a message that this year was going to be different. Um, and after the first period ends, nothing. You and we went into the hallways where they were coming out, and there was a lot of confidence in the PD locker room, a lot of good vibes, things going in their direction. Second period kind of starts off the same way, very back and forth. FD gets a good goal from one of their heart and soul guys, Derek Kern, who is also the assistant general manager of the team. Probably the oldest guy on the team. I think he's 47, 46 or 47, 48. So he's kind of getting up there for that. I don't know how he keeps it up with these young kids, but
Does he want to go 1-on-1?
we should ask him. We should
Yeah,
definitely ask him.
I'm here
Well,
for it.
remember we got you booked for tryouts next year, so watch out, John Peretta, because
September, I'm ready for it.
he's gonna come. Peretta, he's coming for your number two, 77.
Let's go.
Peretta had a couple good fights out there, man. He was riding high for sure.
He did. He definitely did. He showed up. That's for sure. Second period was kind of the same story. They get FDNY gets a goal maybe about midway through the period. Police tie it up shortly after, and you could see that okay, the cops are coming. They're not going to go away quietly, and they're just trading chances, chance for chance. If you had the chance to watch the game, it wasn't as probably physical as maybe years past. Both teams kind of trying to play the long game for sure. And then it kind of starts to fall apart a little bit at the end. They get a good FDNY scores to take the lead, and then with about 5 seconds left, John Peretta, who we got to interview last weekend, gets a shot up to the gets a shot from the blue line that's redirected in, and this was an NHL deflection from their captain. I think his name was Jim Becker, who's the captain of the FDNY team. He gives the firefighters a 3-1 lead, and that was it. That was the game-winning goal right there. They go into the locker room. Things were definitely a little tense on both sides. We could hear kind of the rumblings going on in the PD locker room and the FD locker room. Not really sure what was going on in there, but tensions were definitely high. PD did exactly what they needed to do to start the third period. They had a goal within 30 seconds. John Antonitis netted his second goal of the game, and unfortunately, that's when the wheels really came off. Within 15, 16, maybe 20 seconds later, we were sitting right behind the FD net at the time, or I guess the PD net. And they, led in a really, really weak goal. Felt really bad for Nano in that one, who's their NYPD's goalie, who's been their goalie for, 10, 12 years. And unfortunately, that was the backbreaker. I remember looking at blank, and I was like, that's going to be the one. And it was a bad goal to give up at a bad time, and that was it. It was all FD from there, and FD came away with the 6-2 win. And it was rough to watch. The PD guys went in with a lot of confidence. They had a lot of good things going their way, and 8 in a row. Now they haven't won the game since 2016, so it's tough to be in their locker room right now. They thought they had this one. They thought this was their year, and another year goes by, and the FD dynasty reigns. So,
Yep, always next year though. They were talking about they're going to get after it, as soon as they can and start going. But yeah, I mean, again, it was a great weekend. Good hockey, good people. So,
Matt, have you been to all those games, all 8?
no, I started going in 2017, and I missed, and then they hit COVID in 2020, so that was canceled. I went back the next year for the 9/11 20th anniversary one. And then the next year, my kid was born.
Yeah.
And then he was basically 1 year later, so I couldn't really get up there for that either. But started going again last year when I partnered with them for the jerseys for both teams. And then, that's just kind of been it. That's been it ever since. So worked with them again this year on NYPD's jerseys. They came out really well. We're getting a lot of compliments on them. FDNY went to an older model so that they could retire it. And then hopefully we'll be working with them again next year on their uniforms. But we got to work with them this year on apparel and some headwear and stuff like that. So definitely one of my more one of my bigger partnerships that I really am fond of. Love working with both departments. We're going to get to go up in September for the NYPD sports golf tournament. That'll be a good time. We'll go up
Perfect.
there.
I'll hit up the tryouts while I'm there.
Yeah, that might be
Yeah.
the same weekend. So we'll have to pack a couple bags.
I'll bring my goalie gear and my I might skate out. I don't know what I'm feeling for the day, but
So let's see. We want to get you. So you're going to try to steal John Peretta's spot on FDNY, and then you're going to go across on the island to the PD tryouts, and you're going to try to take their goalie spot. Is that how we're doing it?
yeah, and then I think like once I crush everybody one on one, I think I'm gonna put on the goalie gear and I'm blocking every shot from every single one of those guys because honestly, I think I'm the greatest one out there.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Honestly, they don't stand a chance.
Well, we'll tell them to bring an application to tryouts too. So once we're done there, you can just go right into the fire academy.
Oh, I don't need an application. I might need an application there, but not the we're in. But
once they see you play hockey, they got to take you.
Yeah.
You heard it here. Blank. Hey, Peretta, he's coming. You better be ready.
I am, dude. I'm ready. I just woke up this morning. I woke up full goalie gear. I'm ready to go. No, but Blank, dude, I haven't even had a chance to talk to you since you all went up to New York. But like, dude, what was the vibe like?
Dude, it was. I'll tell you what, man. Like Matt said, that when they started announcing everything, we did the national anthem. As soon as like the Let's Play Hockey hit, that was the loudest I've ever heard a sports event get. Man, it was crazy. It was the coolest experience. And then whole game, every goal, every hit, every little thing, just people were live. It was definitely one of the coolest sports experiences I've ever been a part of. And then after to go on the ice, we got to talk to, John again, got to talk to Coach, got to talk to a couple of the other players and stuff, man. They're, just the energy, the whole feel of it. And then it's crazy because we spent a good amount of time with both teams after the game and just PD, they were disappointed, but the energy was still high. All their families were on the ice. They were all having a good time still. It was cool, man. I'm really excited to go back next year. They they treated me and Matt amazingly. Like it was awesome to talk to some of the alumni guys. They took us out to dinner the night before, and it was cool talking to them and kind of how a lot of those guys that we talked to were a part of the team when it first started. We got to talk to a couple of those guys, and it was really cool seeing, like, hearing from them, like how much it's changed and stuff. So besides the game aspect, just the like history and the people behind it, it made that experience 10 times better. So it was a good time for sure. Like I really enjoyed it. So
Yeah, that's pretty cool, dude. I was watching from home, and trust me, I wish I was able to be there with you guys.
we know you were.
Yeah. Yeah.
Picking up to what he was talking about, the history behind both teams. That's the thing that I think I am so drawn to with this event and this game. It's not just we've played in those fire versus police games, and they're fun, but they're they are what they are, and sometimes they can get chippy. But this is just such another level of this is like this event is so ingrained in New York sports history that it's the number one ticket that weekend. More people are trying to get tickets for that game than they are for the Knicks or the Rangers or anything. It's one of those events that for years. Hopefully things don't die with FD kind of running the show the last 8 years. I think that's a general fear that even really both teams actually kind of have. We talked to them about like, hey, what's good for the game itself? And look, by no means will FD ever give them anything, and the PD wouldn't want that anyways. But hopefully, for the sake of the rivalry, sake of the game, it kind of starts turning around a little bit. That's and people on both sides were kind of saying the same thing. I think FD had a lot of pressure, unlike years past, to keep the streak going. Obviously, PD has the pressure of ending it, but there's definitely pressure on both sides, and the idea of this event being so ingrained in both departments, it's the biggest event in the department's history by far.
Oh yeah.
There's other good sports. Baseball does pretty well with their big rivalry game. In my opinion, I think basketball is the next big thing. It's really a great product that they put out there for the annual basketball game. But coming to the hockey aspect of it, I mean, it was just hanging out with Frank. Another shout out to Frank Heel from FDNY. Taking us out to dinner, like he said, and hearing some alumni. This team has more history than some NHL teams. It's true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, we're definitely going to be doing another episode of FDNY NYPD prior to the game next year and stuff. So if you guys like that, we'll have another one of those. But we'll jump right into NHL, man. It's playoffs. So I'll tell this first. I went to the Capitals game against the Penguins on the 17th. Capitals iced a lot of dudes. Obviously, they already had the playoff spot clenched. Good hard-fought game. I mean, Crosby and Malkin bought Ovechkin a Rolex, so we kind of everyone's like, oh, they hate each other. They don't like to do with each other. That's hockey brings people together, man. They had dinner prior to the game, and then they bought a Rolex for him, so it was cool to watch. But Ovi getting chanted through Pittsburgh's arena, I looked over at my brother and was like, yo, what's going on? Like
that's not something that happens every day.
No. But it was awesome, man. They Crosby broke a record. Ovechkin, coming up there after breaking his record and stuff. It was a really good game. Like I said, Penguins won 6-2. It was their season finale, so it was cool to watch. The fans were super stoked that they beat the Capitals, but as a Capitals fan, we knew that they weren't playing as hard as they should have. But yeah, so we'll jump right into first round. So the game's already played. So we had Jets versus Blues, Avalanche versus Stars, Hurricanes versus Devils, and Maple Leafs versus Senators, and Golden Knights versus Wild. So we'll talk about those games first, and then we'll get into what we think the predictions of the next couple of rounds are, and then the games playing tonight: Capitals versus Canadians, and that's the only game for tonight. So Matt, you watch most of the games. I watch most of the game. Tank tuned in here and there. So what do you think? How do you think it's going so far?
I think some of the games are definitely obviously better than others. I tell you what, I think Carolina's the team to beat in the East for sure. I think that I actually have them going all the way to the Stanley Cup final. Battle of Ontario, I thought had the potential to be kind of a bloody juggernaut of a series. Leafs kind of jumped out on them 6-2. I'm not sure. I would my the fan in me wants to see Ottawa beat Toronto because I think it would be hilarious to see Toronto lose again in the first round. Jets and Blues, kind of one of those I thought could be more of a decent series. I think Jets are going to handle them pretty quickly. Dallas and Colorado also kind of, kind of a sleeper. So I'm not too impressed with the start of it. It is just the start of it. Could get better. Um, but I'm definitely excited about this Battle of Florida for sure. I got the Florida Panthers actually coming out on top of that one in 7 games. I think it's going to be a battle. I got the Caps over Montreal. We'll probably dive a little bit more into the Caps in a little bit, but
Oh yeah.
I definitely have the Caps over Montreal, but I don't think it's going to be an easy series. I think Caps are going to take it in 6 because the Caps will never make anything easy on themselves in the playoffs. So
Nope.
this would be a
I think we're
great
gonna see that tonight.
this would be, yeah, exactly. This will be a great opportunity for them to really prove something and, kind of handle these guys in 4 or 5 games. But
Oh
we'll see what
yeah.
happens. I don't see that happening, but we'll see.
I'm hoping they get a good sweep in this. I mean, it'd be awesome for them to get a sweep, go into the second round with a little bit of confidence because,
Hmm.
like you said, like we got knocked out first round last year against the Rangers, 4 games. So I'm hoping they take the sweep this time and it gives them a little bit of confidence and gives them that push to that second round.
The Caps haven't won a playoff series since they won the Stanley Cup in 2018.
Yeah. So I mean, who knows?
And I think so there's always teams that you look at that they have to win the Stanley Cup this year. I think Toronto's one of those teams that has to for them, they have to win the cup. It's now or
Yeah.
it's kind of cup or bust. I think the Caps are kind of in that category. Yes, they won in 18, but they've only been out of the second round of the playoffs once in the entire time Ovi's been here. I think he needs it. I think he needs at least a third round appearance, but I think this is one of those years that the Caps kind of have the pressure on them that they have to win the cup. They had an incredible regular season with the goal chase. They played well as a team. They were in the President's Trophy race. They didn't get it, but that's okay. Um, I think this is one of those years that kind of Ovi needs that second cup.
Yeah. Oh
Are
yeah.
they always going to be known as that one hit wonder that got by Pittsburgh one time and somehow got to the finals and won it once against an expansion team? They're probably one of those teams that needs to win it. I think Dallas is one of those teams that needs to win it. There's a lot of pressure on all the Canadian teams to win it. Um, Minnesota is also a massive hockey scene that has never even been close. So there's a lot of teams that quote unquote need to win. Obviously, there can only be one, so we'll see. I got the Carolina Hurricanes winning the Stanley Cup over Vegas. That's my prediction for
Okay.
the playoffs.
Yeah, not yeah. I mean, I can see why you picked that. Mine's a little different, but can definitely understand where you're coming from. So, my predictions: Jets Blues. I got Jets taking it. That's just I think they're going to come out on top. It was a really good game. That was a really good game. I think probably out of the games that I watched, it was the one of the better ones.
That is true.
Um,
Jets and Blue. You were right because they scored in the last minute, so I had them
yeah,
mixed up, which we even posted. So you're right. Jets and Blues was probably the best game out of the first round so far,
oh yeah.
out of the weekend.
Avalanche Stars, personally, after watching the Avalanche play, man, I think they could take the sweep. I don't know if the Stars just had a bad game, but Avalanche came out there to win, man. So I mean, they won 5-1. It was a really solid game. Still, it was a physical game and stuff, but I don't think it might have just been one of those games. Dallas, like the puck wasn't bouncing their way, but Avalanche came out there to fight, man. They were ready to go. Canes, I mean, Canes Devils, I kind of expected the Hurricanes to go in there and play like they did. 4-1. Honestly, I was expecting a little bit more than 4-1, but Devils were holding them. 4-1 is still, that they just got a good start. They carried that momentum and everything. So I wasn't surprised by that. But I think the Devils, if they turn some stuff around, it'll be a couple more games played for sure.
I think the Devils will win one at home, but I think that series is done in 5 for Carolina.
I think so as well. Maple Leaf Senators. Maple Leafs, man, they look real good. I like the Maple Leafs
Yeah.
a lot. If there was one Canadian team that I had to go with, I would say the Maple Leafs for sure. I personally think the Oilers are going to the Stanley Cup, and that's one of my big predictions. I think you know they've had such a dry spell and stuff like that, and they lost last year and stuff, so they're they're coming out for it to win it this year. You know what I'm saying? Golden Knights Wild. That one did surprise me. Honestly, I had some money on Wild. I was expecting them to come out and hit a little harder, but Golden Knights came up to show, man. And we did talk about that in the interview that we had that'll be coming up here soon. Um, they've come out, and a lot of people didn't expect the Knights to come out being such a new team and to do that, but they're doing good. Like they're killing it for sure. So rest of the bracket, everything like that. So I got Avalanche taking over Dallas. I pretty much already said that. I got Jets over the Blues. Some of I know you picked the the Kings for the Golden Knights for the to go all the way to the Stanley Cup, but I actually have the Oilers beating them out in the second round. So that's just like something I don't know. The Oilers, like I said, they're trying to prove something this year for sure. So I have obviously the Canes taking the Devils over. I got Capitals in the second round against the Hurricanes, but I think Hurricanes might pull that out over the Capitals. And not saying like I love the Capitals, everything like that, but like we said, we're not we don't have a really good playoff team. I don't know what happens, and like I said, it could be a complete 180. They could come out there ready to fight and just go after it. But I think for my predictions now, the Hurricanes will take the Capitals, and then second round I have actually surprisingly I have Florida Maple Leafs with Florida coming out. I think as much as the Maple Leafs want to get after it, I think Florida might take them out. They're a Stanley Cup team. We all know that. We got a couple guys down on our team in Florida that like the Panthers, so we get to hear a little bit more in-depth stuff from them. But yeah, and then I got Oilers and Hurricanes in the Stanley Cup with the Oilers winning it. I think this is their year. If they can keep this momentum going and keep that hard fight, I think they got a good chance of taking it.
Wow. You got the Oilers. The Oilers are going to bring the Stanley Cup back to Canada, huh?
I think so. Like I said, like you said, that's one of those teams that needs it. And like I said, they made it all the way last year. Like I think I think if they bring that same energy and keep it up, and like last year, it was a super good series. It was a solid games both ways, and they just couldn't hang on. And honestly, like with the Rangers last year compared to this year, like Rangers team last year was like they were just a force to be reckoned with. Like they were just moving. They were plowing through everybody that they went against and everything. They were just so solid. So I can understand the loss, but I don't know. I think this year Oilers they've had a really good season. They're going in this the playoffs with some confidence and stuff. I think they got a good chance of taking it for sure.
I gotta agree with Alex here. Oilers definitely going in the finals, but you know everything else in between, it's going to come down to the Oilers and the Caps. Got to stay loyal to my hometown team, and I think they're still riding off that high of Ovi. So I think that's going to carry them all the way through.
I hope they are.
Oh, absolutely, man.
With it all said and done, it's going to be, Game 5. Caps coming out on top there.
I hope so, man. I hope so.
Yeah, game 5 against the Oilers. So the Oilers
Game 5 on the Oilers.
So the Oilers are going to lose the Stanley Cup twice. Connor McDavid is going to lose the Stanley Cup twice in a row. Ooh, that's
gotta be a loser every year, brother.
That's going to be rough. I don't know. The hockey gods might not let that happen.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the hockey gods are still trying to build Ovi up, before he calls it.
Yeah, I mean, did you see the recent
crescendo?
Did you see the recent quote?
Crescendo to the whole career right here.
Did you see the recent quote?
No, read it back to me.
Well, it's not word for word, but I'm paraphrasing here. So they asked Ovi, is this your last season? And he's like, well, I'm still under contract for next season. But then it also said, they were kind of like leaning into this, like, oh, this is your last battle with Sid or whatever. He's like, I'm not leaving. And I don't know if it was bar down or where it was. This might be unconfirmed, but he says he's not committed to retiring after next year. He said if his body is still good and he's still having fun with the boys, he's going to stick around. He says he's going to play. He could potentially play in the NHL, a couple more seasons, and that would put him in the race for 1,000 goals.
Yeah, I mean, if he comes out next season with another 40-goal season, like he mentioned, he's like, he mentioned in a that he's like, I'm gonna retire when I slow down. But I mean, the dude's 39 and did a 40-goal season this year. Like he's not slowing down. So next year, if he comes out and has a slower season or something like that, yeah, like we could justify like why like he would. But if he comes out and scores another 30, 40 goals next season, why would he not go for the 1,000?
He had 44 goals and he didn't play a quarter of the season.
Exactly. So I mean, he's up there, man. And I mean, like, it'd be really cool to see, a 4-digit goal count for sure. Like, that makes it, I think that personally will make it unbreakable, no doubt. Because there's already talk that Austin Matthews is ahead of him in goals and games played. So I mean, all the stuff that we know, obviously the players know. So Ovi probably saw that and was like, okay, like if you guys want to do it like that, I'm going to set it high. So he's not going to stop at 896 and be like, okay, I'm done. I broke the record. I'm good. He wants to make that record unbreakable. And obviously, like everyone says, records are meant to be broken. We talked about it a lot with the FDNY and NYPD. Do you think it's going to be broken? Yes, the goal count will be broken. Probably not in our lifetimes, but it's going to be broken one day. There's going to be a player that comes out that's probably not even the NHL yet that is going to come out and be a better scorer than Ovi.
Might not even be born yet.
Exactly. So I think the way Ovi was talking is he wants his last season in hockey to be with his team in Russia, but that doesn't mean it has to be like this coming up. He could be 45 and play that game. Like, if he's an NHL player, if he comes out next year and scores like he did this year, I got a feeling he could re-sign with the Caps and everything. So that's that was pretty cool to hear because all of us, this whole season, he's like, oh yeah, he's got next year to break it, and then he's retiring. Apparently, he doesn't. There's nothing set in stone that he's done. And if he comes out and scores like 44 goals, if he comes out next year and scores another 40, 30, the Caps wouldn't be dumb for not re-signing him, but like, why would they not re-sign him?
He's officially won everything there is to win in hockey.
Exactly.
He has his Stanley Cup. He won the Conn Smythe. He has his MVPs. He has so many Rocket Richard trophies. He's done everything almost. As long as he's having fun, I think he's going to stick around. I think that's the thing for him. He needs to be having fun because it's not about money because he's actually underpaid if you really want to look at it. He's not making Connor McDavid or Austin Matthews money. He gave him a discount to stay.
Oh yeah.
But when it came time for his contract 4 or 5 years ago, the Caps, they gave him the option. They're like, Ovi, we can make you the highest paid player in the NHL. Now, if we do that, though, the team around you is not going to be that great, which means it's going to be harder for you to win another Stanley Cup, and it's going to be harder for you to get the record. And Ovi knew it. He doesn't even use an agent, which is funny. And he said he wants to keep this team competitive, so he took less.
Yeah.
Which most players honestly do. They really do. It's very rare that, you have like certain like Mitch Marner, or was it Mitch Marner or William Nylander that kind of held the Leafs kind of over a barrel with his contract and refused to play for like half the season. I think it was Nylander too.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, maybe you get what you want. Listen, athletes deserve to get paid what their market value is and what they want, I believe. But, if you're not a team guy first, there's no point in paying you.
And we can see it paid off. The Capitals are a very young team, and they got a lot of talent, like especially losing Backstrom and Oshie from injuries and stuff. They needed something. And
look at Pittsburgh. Look at Pittsburgh. They're terrible.
Yeah.
And look, Crosby offered the same thing. He's making 8.7 for being one of the best players in the league.
Exactly. So I mean, it just paid off for Ovechkin. He told him, hey, like, you know what? I'll take a little bit less, and let's get some better players. And we got some young guys that are solid, man. Like I said, I think if Capitals can carry this momentum, like they're coming off. They had some rest coming off that like the regular season coming in this playoffs. I think if they can keep the momentum rolling, sweep this first round, win it in 5, whatever, take that momentum to the second round, and come with a hard fought fight battle, they could go all the way for sure, man. And I always think it'd be cool, Ray Lewis from the Ravens, when he was retiring, they went all the way to the Super Bowl and won. It would be really cool to see, Ovechkin in 1 year breaks the record and wins the Stanley Cup. That'd be legendary. It'd go down in history. Ovi's already going down in history, but Stanley Cup and breaking this goal record in one season would be legendary. It'd be insane.
I think him and the Caps.
That's what I'm saying. It's about to happen. You couldn't say it any better, honestly.
I think it's one of those seasons, like I said before, it kind of has to happen. Yeah. I know there's a lot of teams that have the we need to win now mentality, that it needs to be now. Toronto is definitely that team. I think Edmonton is that team too. I think the Caps are that team, even though they've won it. To have the talent that the Caps have had over the last 15, 16, 17 years, and to only get even just, let alone make the finals. Yes, they won it, but they need more than one trip out of the second round.
Yeah. But I mean, overall, this first round, I like it. I think all the teams are pretty good matchups and stuff. There's a one or two here and there that you're okay, we kind of know who's going to win that. But overall, I think the first round, it looks really good. I think it's going to be a long first round. I don't think anybody personally is going to take it in 4 except maybe Avalanche. I think they have the best chance of taking it in 4. But I think it's going to be a good game. I think, like you said, with the Hurricanes and Devils will probably win one at home, so that'd take it to Game 5 and stuff. But I think it's going to be a good first round of hockey. I'm excited to watch the rest of it. Capitals tonight. It's going to be live for sure. So I think we'll see how the Capitals are going to play out. If they come out tonight and take it home, I think hopefully that gives us the.
I think they need a dominating Game 1 win. They need to set the tone and win 5-1, in my opinion.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. You're going to that game, Matt. How are you excited for it?
What was that? I'm sorry, you cut out.
You're going to that game tonight. How are you feeling about it?
I'm excited. I don't get to go to many games anymore with the kid and the business and, other stuff. I used to have season tickets. Almost considered getting season tickets again for next season, but I didn't pull the trigger. Yeah, I'm excited. This is actually the first Caps playoff game that I've been to since Game 5 when they won the Cup in Vegas. So, it's kind of funny. I haven't been to a playoff game since then, minus the Game 7 that I went to last year in Florida. So I'm kind of excited for that. That was kind of always something I did. I would always go to a few playoff games every year, but I haven't been since 18. So I'm excited about that.
Put your seatbelt on, because it's going to be a wild ride when they win it.
The 3 of us are going to try to make it out to a playoff game together, so that'll be a good time, man.
Yeah, we should look at tickets for Wednesday.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, our next episode will probably be coming out around the second set of second round of playoffs. So we'll be able to talk a little bit more about that. But
Tank, who do you have? Tank, who do you have?
Say what?
Who are your winners in round 1?
I already told you everything from I'm only focused on the Caps and the Oilers going all the way to the finals. Everything else in between, it's a wash. I'm just focused on this end goal here.
He just wants to jump to the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, you're doing a great. Your analyst skills are top notch. Let me tell you.
He gets locked on something, and that's all he focuses on. I want the Caps to win. All right, so what do you think about everything else? I don't know. I just want the Caps to win.
All right, tell me about the Cap. Tell me about what's your take on Caps Canadians,
brother? Look, I'm always just out there playing hockey. I don't have time to be watching all this stuff.
You only watch.
I watched it, dude. I got tryouts here in September, boys, for FDNY.
He's getting to work.
Yeah, I'm out in the front yard out here practicing. I'm only watching these highlights. So,
all right. Well, at least you're watching something, right? So Tank's got Caps winning overall. That's all he knows.
Here's another point. Here's another point too. So the Caps are playing Montreal, which is an original 6 team. The building in Montreal is going to be very loud, very intense. It's going to be way more intense than playing at Capital One. So that's what makes these home games so important for the Caps. The Caps
Oh
have
yeah.
to win these first two games, and they have to try to somehow squeeze out a win in Montreal because it's going to be very difficult to play there for games 3 and 4. And in the past, this kind of goes back to what I was saying about the Caps playoff failures. Almost every Caps playoff loss came with them at some point leading the series, and it was usually early on. The Caps would regularly off to a good start in the series, going up 1-0 or 2-0, or in some cases 3-1, and they actually lost a lot of them. So another horrible stat for the Caps, they're more likely to lose a series after going up 3 games to 1, which is unheard of. They might be the only team in professional sports that has that stat. And twice that was done in the Ovi era.
Yeah, they definitely need to win those first two games to go up to their home stadium. To if they lose those two first games, it's gonna be super hard to come back from that. So, I think we'll see how tonight goes. I think we'll get a little taste of what we're expecting. So it'll be a good game. So.
Tom Wilson needs to lay someone out real quick.
Oh yeah, yeah. O needs to score. Tom Wilson needs to lay people out. The puck's got to be moving. We got to avoid the penalties and stuff like that. We're
I want
not good
to
on the penalty kill. So
I want to see more out of Ryan Leonard.
yeah, yeah,
There's a lot of hype
absolutely.
around him. I don't think he's played bad, but his only goal was an empty netter. Um, and look, I get it. He's fresh out of college, but you're getting called up to one of the best teams in the league right now. They got to do something. You got to do something with him.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%. And like you said, he does have a lot of potential and stuff. So I mean, he
Mhm.
hasn't played bad, but I think everyone was expecting just a little bit more out of him. So hopefully we can see that coming up in the playoffs. I
He
think
had
if he shows up, he'll be there.
he had a really rough game in Columbus. He got beat up pretty. He got laid out pretty good. He was in concussion protocol. He got cleared, and then grabs a fight with one of the Blue Jackets players. I don't remember who, but it didn't look like it went well. That was
Oh yeah,
actually during the FDNY NYPD game.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that game was on in the production office when we would go and hang out in there
Yeah, we
for
catch
the
a little
game.
bit glimpses here and there and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
We were busy with a
oh
big
yeah,
with a
we were
bigger event.
constantly moving. So, all right, well, yeah, I mean that the predictions for the playoffs sound good. I think like I said, it's gonna be a good. This is gonna be a good playoff series and everything. So, jumping into the next thing, we got to interview a coach from the University of Nevada, Las Vegas. They just won the national championship. They won their championship in their division. So we got to talk to him. Super good guy. He was actually alumni before he became coaching. So we got to talk to him a little bit about that. What it was like when he played versus now. We got to talk to him about the future for the team and stuff. So we're gonna jump right into that. We'll talk a little bit more after. So Matt's gonna take us over there. This episode is brought to you by Engine Hockey. All right, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we got a special guest, coach of the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, Division One champions for the ACHA Men's One title, Coach Nick. Coach Nick, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we'll get right into it, man. You know, uh, what's life been like after the win with the championship?
It's been pretty surreal. We've had a tremendous amount of community support since we've been back. It's been really cool to see our guys be able to celebrate here in Las Vegas, and I would say there's probably no other place in the country that does it like Vegas. So these guys are definitely having themselves a time. But from a coaching perspective, it's been great. Obviously, at this point in time, we're already kind of focusing on next year and recruiting and whatnot, but definitely still taking it all in.
Cool. Yeah. Like, we actually wanted to get into that, like recruiting. Like, how does that go? I mean, is it pretty easy to recruit for like, college kids that come to Las Vegas? Like, I feel like that'd be the perfect spot for a college kid.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the landscape of college hockey right now, it's pretty wild to say the least. From our level at the ACHA, generally we were getting, really high end tier 3 junior players or some lower end tier 2 guys, maybe from the North American Hockey League, the British Columbia League, things like that. Traditionally, a lot of our roster was made up of guys this year from the tier 2 level, so very competitive. However, now with the influx of Canadians coming down to play at the NCAA Division I level, whether it's the Western Hockey League or the Ontario Hockey League or just the CHL in general. Everybody seems to get pushed down a little bit. So now, we have a lot of interest from NCAA Division I players looking to transfer, a tremendous amount of Tier 2 junior league players that have had experience in the USHL. So for us, I mean, recruiting's getting better and our league is only getting better. So you got to keep up with the times. That's for sure.
That's awesome to hear. And I'm sure, where it's at is a big, I feel like with college students looking for where they want to go, a place that's nice and they can actually have like activities do on their off time's a big part of it. So I'm sure you guys got that all set up over there.
Yeah, you're right. Though recruiting in Vegas is not a hard thing to do by any means, especially since we're very fortunate to be able to have a good partnership with the Vegas Golden Knights. We practice and play our home games at their practice facility at City National Arena. So guys come here, in February and March and April, and the weather's great. You're walking into a beautiful NHL practice facility where we have our locker room and coach's office, and get to see the facilities, and then obviously being able to take them on campus just a few miles from the Las Vegas Strip. They have a great living setup. So when you look at the entire experience, we always really sell them on that. It's not just the hockey, but it's the schooling, it's the hockey, it's the community. There's obviously so much to do here. And then on top of that, a lot of our guys generally stay here once they're done with their experience as a college hockey player. And we look to get them jobs, and they build roots. And, a lot of them call Las Vegas home well after they're done playing here.
That's really cool that you guys do that for him as well, kind of getting him set up for, what's life like after college. So, but I'm like with the guys and stuff like that, since you've been back, like what are some cool experiences you guys got to do? Like, you mentioned the community has been super supportive. So, what's the past couple of days been like for that?
Yeah, when we first got back, it kind of just started with a couple of the local bars that are big supporters of us, hosting some watch parties for our games, and then hosting a little championship event for our players when we got back. And then it grew into the Vegas Golden Knights hosting us at their game, the Henderson Silver Knights of the AHL hosting us at their game. The guys took the trophy to Encore Beach Club at the Win one night, and I think they went to one of the nightclubs later that night. So it's definitely, like I said, it's been a whirlwind. We've gotten a couple different proclamations from the city of Las Vegas, the Clark County Commission's office, hosted at the Las Vegas Desert Dogs, which is an indoor lacrosse game. So, I mean, it's crazy. It just kind of keeps going, and it's been fun. I think they're doing like a WWE event in Vegas, and they're some of the guys are going to that, and they're going to be part of the show or something. So it's going to be pretty cool.
That's insane.
Awesome, man.
That's insane, man. Have you guys been shocked at the amount of attention you guys have received since coming back from your championship run?
Definitely. I mean, it's like a special year for us in general. I think nationally, we got a really, we had a lot of attention on us after playing Denver and winning that game in the shootout and beating them at Magnus, which was awesome. It's not every day that a team from our level gets to even play with a team like Denver, let alone, win the game. So I think there was a lot of national publicity around that. But then after us winning the championship this year, it's been really big locally, which I think is awesome for our guys. They're walking around the city with the trophy anywhere we go with it. Everybody's taking pictures. It's like, it's wild.
Take us back to the start of the season. Was this always the goal, or was it kind of, we'll see what happens when the tournament comes around, or was this kind of one of those cup or bust seasons for you guys?
We've been building this thing for a while. So this is my 10th season coaching. And when I first started back in 2015, it was a lowly kind of Division II level program. Not a whole lot of support. It had some success like a bit prior, but it definitely taken a lull in recent years. And so myself and the head coach came on, and we had a vision for this thing. And the big thing for us was the Golden Knights coming. So, we started in 2015. At that time, they had already started talking about the NHL coming to Vegas, and we were able to start working with that group and helping them push tickets and whatnot. And then in return, they were like, hey, we want to make you part of the practice facility. And then that was a huge recruiting tool for us. So now you're bringing in, much higher caliber players as we advance to the ACHA Division I level. Funding starts becoming a real big thing. Our funding went from like, $150,000 a year to $300,000 to now it's upwards of like $700,000 a year in our budget. So now you're bringing in good players. You're able to offer them an unbelievable experience, play Division I hockey games. So at this point in time, like going into this year, we were coming off a national championship appearance and lost in the title game. But we knew we had a really good team coming back, and we had brought in a stellar freshman class. So those guys were able to kind of buy in. We had great leadership. And when you look at all of those things, it was almost the perfect storm. And so we definitely had it on our mind that we knew we had the team to compete for a national title. It was just a matter of, are you going to get the bounces? Are you going to get the job done? Are we going to stay healthy? And fortunately, we had all those things come to fruition.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like a lot of growing going on. So, that's what we all want to see in hockey and stuff. So that's really cool to see.
Yes, definitely. Like I said, it's been something that's probably brewing now for a while. But as the cliche goes, definitely a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, a lot of learning curves. I was really young when I first started coaching. I was 25. So for me, going through times where you're coaching guys that are almost the same age as you and trying to figure out, how to mentor them and without also sounding like a complete dickhead or anything like that. So, it was a learning curve for myself, for the other coaches, and we've all been here pretty much since day one. So it's fun to see where it's at now, and hopefully we continue to grow on it.
Oh, for sure. But like, at what point this year did you kind of look at the team and, think about like, yeah, we have a good chance this year at the championship?
Well, going into Denver, I think we had won like 14 games in a row. So at that point, I think going into the season, like I said, we knew we had a good team, but it wasn't until probably we're hitting that stretch. We beat some really good teams in our division during that 14-game stretch. And then you go into Denver and you win that game. I mean, at that point, if you can just say that, you're going to beat the defending NCAA national champions, I think you can say that you got a pretty good shot at winning at our level. So if there was a single moment, I'd say that was definitely it.
Okay. Now, was there a moment where you kind of felt like stuff wasn't going your guys' way? Like you said, that 14-game winning streak, I'm sure you felt like you were on top then, but was there a point where you're like, man, this just isn't going our way right now?
There's always going to be those times throughout the year. And sometimes it's a losing streak, and sometimes it's not a losing streak, but maybe you're just not playing well. And to me, honestly, I thought ours was kind of right before we hit the road to go to the national tournament. We had played some weaker competition, and we wound up going like 2-2 in those games. And so in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, we're not peaking at the right time. Just things don't seem to be clicking. The power play wasn't really clicking. Special teams is a little bit off in general. So now you're kind of second guessing things as a coach, and how do you fix this? How do you fix that? But I think when you hit those moments, you just rely on the leadership. And we had a great conversation with our captains, and they're like, hey, the locker room's great. I know we're not clicking right now, but we're going to figure it out come tournament time. And, the next week we head out to the tournament, and you get going in a one-loss elimination style tournament. And it's really important to bring your A game. And I think the first game went really, really well for us. And then we kind of built off that.
That's great. Who were some of the standout players that people should know about through UNLV?
Well, this year we had a really awesome senior class. A lot of guys that kind of led the way for us, not only in the locker room, but definitely on the score sheet as well. So you look at the goalie that won us the national championship, Jeremy Foreman. He was a stud for us all year. He was the tournament MVP. He was the goalie that was in net when we beat Denver. He had 58 saves in that game. So, it's pretty insane to think about all the accomplishments he had this year. He was a grad transfer from University of New Hampshire. So he came in, and this was his 5th year, and he was fortunate enough, or we were fortunate enough to have him this year. Matias Del Monte was our captain this year, just a stud of a human being. He was the conference MVP. He led our defensemen in minutes. And then Preston Brodziak, he led our team in scoring with 58 points, and he led the tournament at nationals in scoring with 8 points in 4 games. So you look at those 3 guys, I say those are our big pillars, but all of them obviously playing different positions, but you got to have a great goalie, good D, and then a forward that can make plays. And that was what those 3 guys were.
So, yeah, I completely agree with you. You need the studs, you need the goal and everything. But to me, this is kind of my role. But so I got to ask, who are the the guys that are like the clowns on the team? I feel like, when the team gets down or something, there's got to be those guys that kind of, stand up, crack a joke, do something that makes everybody kind of get back in that energy, or like, after a game, someone's got to bring the team back up. So who would be some players like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, we had a lot of quote unquote glue guys, guys that maybe aren't ones that are going to stand out on the score sheet, but if you don't have them, in the locker room and in the lineup, you're not winning. I think a guy that really kind of sticks out to me this year was Hayden Siegel. He was a freshman that he came in, and every time he stepped foot on the ice, it was like, he could make something happen. But also he did a great job of playing his role. And in return, he was also somebody that brought the team together out off the rink. Anytime there was something going on, he was texting people. And anytime he texts somebody, like, guys are going out. It wasn't just 2 or 3 guys. If he texts somebody, it's 7 or 8 guys. And I think that's really important. I mean, that's, if you talk about culture, you got to have a close group. And I think this was the closest group I ever had since being here. So a guy like Hayden, you got to have, not to mention, I mean, there's players that, on a team like ours who unfortunately don't get in the lineup. And you have to have support from those guys. So I look at some of the guys that weren't in the lineup in the national tournament, or in the national championship game, like a Ronan Keenan and Sean Karaman, and these guys that they bust their ass every practice. They work hard, they push everybody, and then they come in the locker room and they're cracking jokes and make the atmosphere what it is. And it should be fun. It should be fun coming to the rink every day.
Absolutely. And I'm sure those guys are celebrating just as hard as, every other player. So
As
like you
they
said, it is
should.
important. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
They're just as much a part of the team as everybody else. So it's good. And it's also good that, your team, like those guys that don't make it on that team, like, they keep them in that circle and they don't push them out. Cause I mean, we have heard of teams doing that and stuff. So, it is important that everybody feels like they're on the team. So that's really cool to hear.
Yep, exactly.
So I mean,
So
have they even gotten any sleep yet? I mean, I'm looking at their feed and they're just blowing up all over the place.
I don't know. I don't tend to ask too many questions this time of year. It's like, hey, we're in the off season now at this point, so you guys do what you got to do. But here in a couple of weeks, we'll start lifting together as a team and do some baseline testing and get back in the gym and stuff. And then a lot of them actually will head home, probably at the end of May for a little bit, and come back again mid-August. And they can better be in shape and ready to go, because you get everybody's best. You get everybody's best now. That's for sure.
yeah, I'm sure, some well-deserved time off and everything like that. So what are some stories from this championship season, like some ones that really stick out to you that you're going to carry with you?
Oh man, this season was, like I said, it probably couldn't have been scripted any better. I mean, we won every piece of hardware that you could win at our level. We won our conference championship. We won the national championship. Obviously, you take home all the individual awards and stuff. But I know I keep circling back to this, but I don't think people can fathom necessarily how big that Denver win was. I mean, you're looking at a team that had 12 players drafted in the NHL, coming off, arguably one of their best seasons ever, winning a national championship, bringing a ton of guys back. And we're a group that has no draft picks. A lot of our guys are paying to play. So it's pretty special to see like what was going on in our locker room during that game, because, you go in there, and we had gone there before and lost 10-0, and so now you go in there and you're trying to see how guys are going to react. And, they bought into what our systems were, but after that first period and you're up 3-1, you're like, okay, Denver's probably going to make a push. But the message in the locker room was like, nothing changes here. Everybody's going to keep playing our game, and Jeremy will hold it down. And then now you go into the third period up 5-1 on them, and now it's like, okay, we're not here to compete, like, we're going to win this game. We're here to win this game. And in the locker room, I mean, guys are fully bought in, they're juiced, like they're ready to go. And then all of a sudden Denver comes roaring back, right? And it's 5-3, it's 5-4. And we get a goal to make it 6-4. And on the bench, it was slowly kind of like the energy's slowly going down and down. And then all of a sudden you get that goal to make it 6-4. And everybody's like, okay, we're back in it. We're good. And then all of a sudden they score 2 to tie it. And it's 6-6 going into overtime. And all I heard on the bench was like, boys, we can lock in. We can lock in. And like they locked in the 3-on-3. And our goalie held it down. And just to see like the bench erupt when Matthias scored the game-winning goal. I think like that whole experience, going back in the locker room. I mean, these guys were. It was it was like you just won a national championship. It really was.
Right,
I mean,
right.
you're hugging everybody. Like you did the unthinkable. We went out there and no one gives you a shot in those games. I mean, it's just a really cool experience that I think all those guys will get to share together. And then the fact that now pressure's on you the rest of the year to win the national championship. If you're the team that does this, you can't just follow it up and not win it all. So for us to go out and win it all, it's like, all right, this is a special group. These guys are going to have rings. They're going to be part of reunions. Like this group will never play on the ice together again, but they're always going to be forever remembered as champions and have that connection.
That's
Yeah,
incredible, man.
100%.
Yeah, that's great. Definitely jealous of that for sure. So we saw ASU kind of develop a NCAA program out of their ACHA program. They got a new arena built. They got a lot of money infused into the program to get them to the NCAA level. Do you envision kind of the same future for the University of Vegas?
I hope so. I mean, that's always been our goal since we've really been here, was to continue to elevate the program, and hopefully you get it to that level one day. I think that from our perspective, it's really kind of two different planes, right? The first plane is have a really, really successful ACHA D1 team, build a great culture, win, provide guys with an unbelievable experience. And then on the other plane is, okay, now how are we elevating to that Division 1 level? Where's the funding coming from? Can we get the school on board? So right now, when you look at those things, a lot of our attention is split. I'll say we have a great board in place of about 10 to 12 pretty influential business people in Las Vegas here who want to see that happen. They're actively out there finding money and donors and really kind of pushing the university to hopefully allow us to get a feasibility study done, which is done by College Hockey Inc., which really would show what Division 1 college hockey would look like at UNLV. So I think that when you look at those things, a lot of our time and attention is focused on the day-to-day stuff. But now this time of year, we're really pushing for that funding and trying to see what we can do. But I don't think it's a matter of if it'll happen, it's just kind of a matter of when, because college hockey is booming and hockey in general is just blowing up here in Las Vegas. And it's the fastest growing sport here by a mile. So many different people in town that have money and have kids that are playing would love to see it happen. So yeah, I mean, we'd love to see it happen here in Vegas. And I don't think there's a city that would embrace it more right now. I mean, like I said, hockey is it's growing at a rapid rate. And I mean, you should see the fan support at our games. We sell out every game. It's loud. Like, I wish we had a bigger arena to play at. Like, it only holds about 1,000 people, but I mean, we're getting 1,000 people every night with standing room only. So it's fun. That's for sure.
Is there any
That's
talk about
man.
maybe moving a game over to Henderson? I don't know how far Henderson is necessarily from you guys, but is there any talk about maybe doing a game there to see what kind of fan support you could get?
So we've done one there in the past, and it was solid. I think that it was something that we could probably build off of. The issue is like a lot of our fan base is the student body, and a lot of it is built out here in Summerlin, where we're currently at, just because we've been out here for so many years now. So I think it would take some time to kind of grow it in Henderson. People in Vegas, it's interesting. If they're in Summerlin, they don't necessarily love going to Henderson, and vice versa. So obviously, finding a more of a centrally located rink would be beneficial for us. But also it's really expensive. It costs us like $30,000 a game at the Silver Knights Arena. So even if you're doing well and you get people in the building, you're still not really making as much money as you would probably do at City National. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I mean, it's all goes into logistic parts and stuff like that, which is always tough. But we heard you talk about it a little bit. You've been there for 10 years. How'd you get involved with it from the start? Like, how did that all go down?
Yeah, I grew up playing hockey here. Spent my time at UNLV as well, and then after I got done there, I started coaching youth hockey. But I had a buddy that was still running the team a little bit, and I spent a couple years coaching just the midget AA, AAA teams here with a buddy of mine for probably 2 or 3 seasons. And then they were looking to make a coaching change at UNLV. My friend called me and said, "Hey, we'd love you to come interview." So I went in, I interviewed with the other coach, Anthony, and we sat down with him and a couple of the other players at the time. And ironically, it was players that were hiring us. As a club sport, that's just kind of how it is. So you're kind of pleading your case to 21-year-olds at the time, which was interesting. But they trusted us, and it was all downhill from there. Really, once we got hired, like I said, there were some welcome to the ACHA moments for sure. The team we had our first year was solid, but it wasn't great, right? We didn't have many months to recruit. I think we got hired in March, and we had until August to kind of start formulating a team. We started the year 0-3, and one of the moments is like we got to Long Beach, and we were playing Long Beach State there, and their rink is a little weird. Like all the fans are actually like right above the benches. So like we're playing Long Beach and like fans are yelling at us, and they had a good fan support. It was fun, but the bar was up there too. And all of a sudden, like I'm sitting there and I get beer poured like on my shoulder, and I'm just like, this is crazy. what am I doing here? And so then our players are yapping at the fans, and like it's just like, oh my God, what where did I get myself into? But now to see where it's at today, it's like night and day difference. But you know what? Those are the kind of memories that you love to kind of reminisce with the coaching staff, and you say, hey, remember these days and stuff like that. I mean, I could probably tell you a million stories, but it's been fun, that's for sure.
That's awesome. So you mentioned you played hockey. I mean, I imagine a hockey coach played hockey growing up. So where does your hockey story begin? And like up through your life, how did that go?
Yeah, so I was born and raised here in Vegas. I actually started playing just in the street with friends. Got involved at like the local roller rink at my in my neighborhood. Basically, they had like a roller hockey league, so we started doing that, and then kind of transitioned into ice. So then I was playing like a lot of ice and roller growing up, and then kind of took some time away when I got to high school. Wanted to get more involved in my high school. Wound up wrestling and playing football, and but I'd still was playing like some roller in the summers and things like that. And then I got back to college and started playing at UNLV a bit. And afterwards, I got the bug again. Wanted to get into coaching, and after that, like I said, it just kind of led into me continuing to really want to get involved with the game. Like I think coaching was a really big transition for me, but I loved it. I loved wanting to stay a part of the game, and I really enjoyed building connections with the players. And I think I was always meant to kind of coach the college level. It's easier to build those relationships and those connections and things like that. But hockey's really blown up here. Like when I was growing up, it was such a small community. Everybody knew everybody. I mean, there was maybe 500 players total. Now there's 5,000, so it's pretty cool to see.
That's pretty crazy. You're like the godfather of hockey in Vegas, kind of, or your story is such a full circle story. It's kind of remarkable to hear. Bill, growing up there, taking a team that probably no one ever expected to be a hockey school club all the way to a championship run, and then obviously to be able to join the Vegas as two hockey clubs that have won championships in the last few years. What does this say about the hockey scene in Vegas? Like what does these championship runs do for that?
People just love the sport. They really do. And I think that for us, like we don't have the success that we have unless we get the funding, and a lot of generous people have donated to our program. Money goes a long way at our level for sure, just in a matter of, the different experiences we can provide our guys, the equipment, how you travel, things like that. That's huge for recruiting. So the better players you have, the more often you're going to win. I'll say that. Obviously, there is some coaching aspect to it, but it really starts with talent. But people here have just really fallen in love with the game. You go to the Golden Knights games and they're sold out every night, and those are the same people that are coming to our games. So it's not just a matter of them really being Knights fans. Everybody here seems to be hockey fans, and I think that's really something that I never thought I would see during my time here.
That's awesome, man. But like, so you mentioned you played for him as well. What is it like, when you played being an alumni and now 10 years later as a coach, what is it like seeing the team that you played for now go to the team that you're coaching?
I would say that there's a whole lot more structure now. That's for sure. I think back then it was it was fun. You know, it was really seen as more of like a club style sport. You know, there wasn't like guys working out as much. Like it wasn't like it is today, where our guys are at the rink 3 times a week working out with a strength and conditioning coach. Like we never had any of that. We never had a trainer or a team doctor or a team dentist, like any of that stuff. It was really more so like, hey, you're putting your money in. You're going to pay to drive around and go to different places and play games and whatnot. The experience was still the same in terms of like the relationships you built with your teammates and things like that. I don't think that's changed, right? Like these are guys that I've been in their weddings and they've been in my wedding and stuff like that. So from that perspective, I think that's still the same. But I think from the type of player that you're getting now, like we were guys that played hockey. These are guys coming in that are hockey players. Like there is a difference. A lot of our guys want to try and play pro hockey after this, and it's just a different caliber, if that makes sense.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I absolutely see where you're coming from that. But, I mean, you guys are national champions. So, like, now that you're up top like that, what are the vibes in the office feeling like for you and the coaches and everything going on right now?
It's good. I mean, I think there was a lot of pressure on us to get the job done. We'd come close the last few years. You know, we'd been to the Final Four once, been to a national championship game once, and we just didn't get over the hump. So, like, kind of feels good to kind of get the monkey off your back, so to speak. Get over the hump, win a national championship. Like now, I think you just got to build on it. And I think, like, as a staff, we met today actually just talking about recruiting, and I mean, we don't even know the amount of interest that we have from the program and the guys the type of player that we have that wants to come here now. It's like trying to find spots for guys can be tough. I mean, it's going to be a battle to get in the lineup next year. And I think that's good. I think it breeds competition. It'll only help us get better. But I mean, I think we're all just really excited to kind of build on this thing now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you and the coaches did an amazing job. The team did an amazing job. Like how far you guys came this whole season. I don't want to say no one expected it, but like you guys definitely, over Denver and everything, like you said, like it wasn't how everyone thought it was going to go, and you guys, came out on top and in an exceptional game too. I mean, going into overtime makes any game amazing, and then you guys to win in OT was awesome. But I think the big question we want to ask you for wrapping it up tonight is opening night 2025. When they put that banner up in City National, like what's going to be going through your head?
Oh man, we better not lose this game. I mean, that's that. Honestly, there will be a lot of pride in it for sure. I think I am the type of guy though that, okay, hey, this is awesome. I love it. I'm glad we won. But at the end of the day, like I'm always very competitive. So for me, I always want, okay, what's next now, right? And it's not always the best thing because sometimes I maybe don't take the right amount of time to really just live in the moment and just be present and like understand that like, hey, we're champions, we should enjoy this. I definitely did that for a little bit, but now like as rings come in, as banners get raised, things like that, all I want to do is like chomp at the bit to try and get the next one. And I think that's kind of important. I think that's why we've been successful, is because we have a lot of like-minded individuals in this program, myself, the other coaches, even the players. I mean, those guys that the guys that are going to see that banner raised, like they're gonna fully understand now the pressure that kind of comes with trying to repeat. And as a fan base, the fan base here is great, but now they have even higher expectations for you. So it's good though. I really enjoy it, and I think it'll be even better for this group this upcoming year.
Well, Tom Brady always used to say, people would ask him, "Hey, what's your favorite championship?" He'd always say the next one.
Yeah, and there's definitely something to that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm super excited to see where you guys go and where this program ends up in the next couple of years. I mean, it was watching that championship game was awesome. I mean, I went into that game not knowing, I knew who Denver was. I knew who you guys were. I wasn't really like, over under or anything like that. But watching you guys play, I'd 100% thought that everybody was pushing towards you guys. And looking back a little bit, I was like, oh, wow, like they were really pushing for Denver. So it was really awesome to see you guys come out and like, the parts that I watched and stuff, like you guys are a hell of a hockey team, man. And, to you and the coaches, like you guys are doing amazing. So like I said, I'm really looking forward to where this program ends up in the next couple of years. I can definitely see, like we kind of talked about with ASU, where they were and where they are now. I could definitely see you guys being the next ones.
Yeah, we hope so. I mean, like we talked about earlier, I think the big thing for us is always going to be just continue to do a really good job where we're at. Continue to try and find those funds to make that happen and get the school on board. But at the end of the day, like for me, you can control what you can control. And right now it's this program with these players and the staff. So we'll just keep it rolling.
You're doing amazing, Coach. We really appreciate you sitting down and talking to us for a little bit. I'm sure it's been a last crazy couple days. So thank you for making the time for us.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Matt, you got anything else, buddy? You good?
No, congratulations, Coach. What a season. I'm sure you'll never forget it. Best of luck coming up this season, and hopefully we can get you back on and catch up with you throughout the year.
Sounds great. Thanks, guys.
This episode is brought to you by Engine Hockey. All right, so hey, thanks, Coach, for sitting down again with us. That was a really good talk. We had some fun and everything. So I can tell your confidence is high. Your team looked really good this year. Excited to see, in my opinion, where this team ends up in the future, especially like we talked about a little bit with University of Arizona making it to the NCAA. I'm hoping you guys are the next ones for sure. So what do you think, Matt?
Yeah, good interview. Good to talk to him. It's really exciting to see what he's building out in Vegas. Vegas is kind of turning into a really good hockey market with, the Knights won the Stanley Cup a couple years ago. They have a really good chance to win it again. And now these guys, are kind of turning college hockey into, kind of the thing in Vegas. And there's a lot of push to kind of take that program into the NCAA, just kind of like ASU did several years ago. So if they can keep moving in that direction, they got a good thing going, because I think you even touched in this in the interview. The recruiting for UNLV is probably just as easy as it is for ASU.
Oh yeah,
come down and get a great college experience, play some cool college hockey, and you get to hang out in Vegas.
It doesn't get much better than that.
Well, what's great is seeing these guys running around Vegas with the trophy, kind of, just like they did with the Stanley Cup. I mean, these guys are going to WrestleMania, getting involved in that. They're getting honored at the Knights games. They're getting, they have an AHL team there too. So Vegas is turning into a hockey market. I mean, they've got AHL, NHL, and now ACHA, which hopefully will become NCAA at one point.
Yeah, I mean, it was that you could tell that the confidence there was super high, and they're still riding high. They probably haven't slept much this past couple of weeks. So, Tank, you said you got to watch a little bit of the game. I think you caught the end. What do you think?
Well, what they won in overtime, which huge deal, and I'm sure the energy was high there. It had to have been.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, especially against Denver, like that was a team that everybody thought was going to take it. So that the fact that they came out and beat them, that was huge for sure. So it was cool to watch. Me and Matt got to catch a little bit of it, and then talking to Coach, it was fun. It was a good time, man. So
yeah, thanks, Coach, for coming on. We'll have you on in the future, and we're gonna try and check you guys out next year. I got a couple things planned. Might be going to Vegas for an expo next year. So hopefully they'll have a game while I'm in town. So
hopefully they got tryouts too.
Who are you gonna take from whose spot are you gonna take?
Honestly,
starting D.
I might play forward for that team.
Okay.
I've never seen you play forward before.
You just want to go back to school and see what's going on walking around campus.
I do love a good education, and there's nothing and while I'm doing it all, but honestly, I might just take the goalie gear out there.
We should start a GoFundMe to send Tank back to school.
Let's do it. I mean,
it could be a whole thing.
Oh, yep. Tank's education.
I love that. Could be a whole series as well. You
could do sports analysis.
Your sports.
There ain't no way. Honestly, I could major in some sports.
What? So I was actually a sports major. I was a sports management major.
Dang, really? I'm sure that helped out a lot with the engine.
Well, what's that?
I'm sure that helped out with engine.
So yeah, it's helped me with a lot of stuff that I've gotten to do for sure.
That's pretty cool, man.
Kind of different, my goal was to be the general manager of the Caps. Obviously, I didn't really know how that industry and field worked. That's not really how you get that job, but that's what I wanted to be.
Just go apply for it. I'm sure they'll take you.
You know, you know what I've done multiple times. So you're gonna like this. I have a fake resume.
Oh no.
It's full. It's ridiculous. It's really impressive.
We're gonna post that.
I should post it. It's really impressive. And I just send it out every time just to see what happens, just to see if I get a bite. Never happened.
One of these days they're gonna call you and you're gonna be like, I don't know what to do now.
No, fake it till you make it.
Heck
Fake
yeah.
it till you make it. I think the last time I applied for some job with the Florida Panthers. I don't even remember what it was. Some executive position that they had posted.
They probably got that and were like, what the heck?
Yeah, that's
That's
probably
trash.
fake.
That's trash.
Oh, it's super impressive. I have 2 resumes, one real, one fake.
That's awesome. Yeah, me and Tank are gonna make fake resumes. We're gonna start trying to be free agents in the NHL.
Yeah.
Yeah, if my resume would just consist of FDNY tryouts, Las Vegas tryouts.
At the first day.
Just a bunch of tryouts. All right, well, this was a good one for sure. Got to talk a little bit about what's going on, what happened, and then what the future looks like for some of these teams and stuff. So, Matt, you got anything else?
No, man, good pod. Fun catching up with you guys. Let's try to get to one of these playoff games this week.
For sure, for sure. Tank, what you think?
Dude, I still got the Caps going all the way, and it's always a pleasure seeing you guys because I don't see you guys until I see you. So it's always good catching up with y'all.
So we're not announcing anything right here, but we're going to try to put together kind of a little all-day street hockey event in the next year. So stay tuned to that. We got to figure out how we're going to put that together.
Dude, I just had the rollerblades cracked out yesterday, brother. And
did you? Dude,
these things are probably from 2009, 2010.
Wow.
I need some new wheels, but
hopefully I can get back on the. Oh, I haven't actually been on rollerblades probably since I was 16. So hopefully once my back heals up, I can get back on there. But
yeah, once your back heals up, we'll get you one of the PVC walkers.
Yeah. Is there a league for people like that?
There is a league that it's like a seniors league that every 15 minutes a buzzer goes off, everybody drops where they're at, and they all go and use the bathroom. It's funny as hell to watch.
Is that Jerry Hatrick's?
Yeah,
Laurel.
I don't think it's Jerry. I think it's a Canadian team. I saw a video of it.
When I was young, when I was younger, I would actually play with the Jerry Hatricks once in a while just to skate because there was never any good pickup games in the morning at Laurel. So I would just ask them. I was like, "Hey, can I just skate with you guys? Because I just want to skate." And they were always not intimidated, but they're like, "Oh, look, a young guy. He's probably want to burn circles around us." But I never did. I just played defense. I just moved the puck. I never shot on net or anything, and I never really played defense. I just wanted to always kind of get a feel. So shout out to the Jerry Hatricks and Laurel. They're a bunch of cool guys.
That's awesome, man. Well, Tank's mom just texted me and said he's got to go do the dishes. So we're going to wrap it up here. And, we'll see you next time. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Yep.
Your tag swag is looking really good, Tank.
Looking real good.
Thanks, brothers.
Yeah.
All right. Everyone have a good day. Take it easy. We'll get you on the next one.
See you guys.